that was part of this famous John Hopkins study on psilocybin with the religious leaders. That was, for some reason, never published. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of it was to get religious leaders from different, like Christianity, Judaism, Eastern religions, and see if their religious worldview affected their experience on psychedelics. Is that what the basic gist of it was?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard about that study. I don't know the details. I thought
that was the famous one that was never published.
I think it is going to be coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got some information regarding it. Yeah, I think it's been accepted finally. I'm not sure, but it was from a reliable person.
What would you speculate would be the outcome of that?
Well, I think there's another motivation as well, which is to, demonstrate that there's a common spiritual experience regardless of your specific faith. I think that's one of the motivations.
Yeah, they're motivated to prove this idea called perennialism, I think it's called.
Yeah, the mystical experience, which is kind of this unitive, ego-dissolved, no time or space kind of experience, which is part of most psychedelic experiences, but I don't think it necessarily precludes differences in religious experience as well, which might even be more important. I think overall too, it would make a cleric, possibly more dedicated, to the clergy and the religion.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about what that's like. As Travis pointed out to me, which blew my mind, is that there are so many different groups with different incentives that are looking into psychedelics and trying to use them to push forward their narrative.
Right. It's a wild moment in time.
It is.
Yeah, a few days ago, I was watching that clip of Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson discussing the demons.
Yes, yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. What was Alex? He was saying that first of all, he said he ate some DMT or something. Can you find that clip? It'd be great to watch that so we could get a refresh. Go to YouTube, type in Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, DMT. It's a short.
Yeah, it's only 58 seconds.
Yeah, it's like less than a minute.
They're in a car.
There it is. That's it right there. Yeah, give us some volume on that.
I haven't done DMT. That's what everybody says.
Click on it.
I haven't done DMT, but I know a lot of famous people that have and others. And the government since the 70s has been doing intravenous drip with it. It just didn't become popular the last 20 years by eating it. I've talked to well-known people off record who have gone to these big DMT rituals at sacred sites because reportedly those are like gates or places where dimensionally they've been doing sacrifices for thousands of years. So maybe the things hang around there or it's a ley line. They're not sure. But if you go there and take DMT, they're having groups of 20, 30, 40 people who are seeing the same hallucination on it at the same time. They basically say aliens come up the steps of the pyramid or, and everybody's seeing it at the same time. They're having
Maybe it's not a hallucination.
Well, exactly. If this individual was seeing it, it's one thing.
Right.
But then sometimes people in the group even get attacked by these things.
Well, I would be very afraid that those drugs open up a portal for something to enter me.
What? Thoughts on that?
Well, I think that they're partly right. The portal idea anyway. I think that's one of the things that psychedelics and DMT do. They are a portal to previously invisible kinds of information. Yeah. So if you open that portal, there is that information conveyed by the visions, which is angelic or demonic. So if you believe in angels, I always say you believe in demons. So, to the extent that one believes in angels, then I think by necessity you need to believe in demons as well. It's kind of a imagery of good versus evil.
I mean, have you ever heard of anybody getting chased by demons the way he explains it? Where like they're coming after them?
I guess I could imagine ayahuasca ceremonies where there's a lot of shamanic communication and information that you would be attacked by demons.
Yeah.
Or it would seem as if you were anyway.
Right. Yeah. So this angels and demons worldview, which is very much I think Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones are like very devout Christians. They talk about it all the time on their programs. So like if they're trying to fit this DMT experience into their worldview, that would make sense. And going back to that John Hopkins study where they're trying to prove some sort of common core to all religions, it's trying to basically paint the fact that like what would the ultimate goal of that be? Would the goal of that be to say that psychedelics created all religions?
Well, that certain aspects of the psychedelic experience, which are defined by this rating scale called the Mystical Experience Questionnaire, irregardless of your denomination, if your score on the Mystical Experience scale was number one, high enough, and number two, cut across all of the categories, that there was a common mystical experience that all those volunteers had, Jewish, Muslim, or Christian, which would then lead to one being able to propose a universal religion.
Oh God.
And that universal, like if it's all the same across all of the religions, there must be some universal religion that can be extracted. But the problem with the universal religion is, whose universal religion?
Right.
And what if you don't agree with it?
Right.
Yeah, then you become a heretic.
Yeah, and how do you push people into a universal religion when people are already in their own unique religions that give them value to their life already? Like, how do you do that?
Well, I don't think you can.
Right. And one of the even scarier ideas is that if you give the church access to psychedelic drugs or give them the license to bring psychedelic drugs into their spiritual practice, now you're making these people who are already subscribed to this idea that there's this deacon that has direct communication with God who is giving these people the answers to their life problems. Now you're putting these already vulnerable people on psychedelics. I can see where that can lead to problems.
Well, I think, you're pointing to the issue of how do you propagate a universal religion? Yeah, which I think, I think the cult of personality would start playing a very big role with the enhanced transference that occurs on psychedelics.
Because people, when they're on I think you've said this before, people on psychedelics are way more, not just vulnerable, but they're way more agreeable.
More suggestible.
Suggestible, that's what it was, yes, right.
And with repeated exposure to the same suggestion over and over on psychedelics. Yeah. I think it would get kind of fanatic in a way. It could.
Yeah. Yeah, because even people who are huge psychedelic proponents who think that psychedelics are the panacea for everything in culture and society, I mean, even they kind of get pretty fanatical to some extent, where psychedelics become their god,
or they become God somehow, or they're God's messenger. I was talking
the
earlier,
Messiah complex.
Yeah. There's a lot of messianism in the idea of a universal religion, who would be the spokesman, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you would have a religious figure.